A mysterious reel leads Lucas and Erica into an underground archive of forbidden films. As lost memories resurface, they must choose, forget and escape, or remember and become part of the archive forever. Lucas Mendonça. Arquivista e cineasta frustrado, Lucas é obcecado por filmes perdidos e segredos enterrados. Ao encontrar uma fita sem rachelo, mergulha number misterio que desafia o tempo, a memória e a realidade. Curioso por natureza, e movido por culpa e sede de significado. Erica Vale. Ex-integrante de Foreigners de Cinema Obscuro, Erica vive à margem desde que viu pela primeira vez a mulher do corredor. Guardia de fitas esquecidas, anatecos e teorias, ela busca respostas hienas. Inteligente e paranoica, e tanto guia quanto prisioneira de propria obsesso. Lucas Mendonça had long stopped believing in coincidences. It was just after midnight when he found it, wedged between a dusty encyclopedia and a box of broken projectors in the basement of the State Film Archive. A battered VHS tape, no label, no markings, wrapped in a crumbling paper sleeve. He examined it under the weak fluorescent light. The only thing written, scrawled in red ink across the sleeve, was a single word, Valentina. Lucas froze. Valentina Video Archive had been a myth in cinephile circles for years. People spoke of it in whispers, an underground store in downtown Sao Paulo that supposedly housed thousands of rare and banned films, curated by a man known only as Mr. Armand. The shop had shut down over a decade ago, its collection reportedly donated to an unnamed cultural institution. But no one ever saw the tapes again. Until now. Heart racing, Lucas slid the tape into an old player in the archive's backroom. The screen flickered. Static. Then blackness. And then, a frame. A long hallway. Grainy. Shot on film. No credits, no dialogue. Just a woman standing at the end, staring directly into the camera. Her mouth moved, but no sound emerged. Lucas leaned in. The woman seemed familiar. And then, she whispered. Somehow, through a silent scream, Lucas heard her voice inside his own head. Find me. The screen went black. And Lucas knew this wasn't just film. It was a message. The next morning, Lucas arrived early to the archive, restless and unfocused. He replayed the tape 3 times before sunrise, trying to catch every flicker, every distortion. There were no credits, no cuts, no camera movements. Just that hallway. That woman. And the voice that spoke directly into his thoughts. He checked the tape for production marks, serial numbers, anything. Nothing. No label, no magnetic degradation, no tracking issues. The thing was impossibly well preserved for a tape that had supposedly been lost for over 10 years. Lucas knew what he had to do. He logged into a long-abandoned film forum under his old username, Celluloid Ghost. Buried in the threads was a name he hadn't thought of in years, Erica Vale. She had once been a regular contributor, infamous for claiming she had seen films that couldn't be real at the old Valentina store. Everyone had dismissed her as a fantasist. But now, Lucas wasn't so sure. He sent her a message. Found a tape. No title. Woman in a hallway. Said your name. Know anything about it? He didn't expect a reply. The forum had been inactive for years. But 5 minutes later, a message popped up. You saw her too. Attached was a blurry image. A screenshot. Same hallway. Same woman. Taken from a different tape. Lucas's pulse quickened. They arranged to meet at a small cafe near the old location of Valentina Video Archive. The shop was now a nail salon, the sign above painted over, but the building still carried a strange silence, like a memory trying to be forgotten. Erica looked older than her forum profile, but her eyes were sharp, haunted, even. She carried a heavy bag, filled with tapes, notebooks, and clippings. Before Lucas could speak, she said, "I've been waiting for someone else to find her. I knew she wasn't done." Lucas leaned in. "Who is she?" Erica didn't blink. "She's the last film Armand ever showed. And the reason he vanished." Lucas followed Erica through narrow alleys behind the old cinema district. Her pace was quick, mechanical, as if she had walked the route 1,000 times. She didn't say much. Just clutched her bag tightly and glanced over her shoulder now and then, like someone being followed by a memory. They stopped at a rusted door with no signage, wedged between an electronics repair shop and a shuttered bakery. Erica fumbled with a ring of keys, each more bent and rusted than the last, until one clicked into place. The room inside was barely more than a storage closet. But the walls were lined with tapes, hundreds of them, stacked haphazardly, some in sleeves, others naked, their magnetic film curling out like spilled secrets. A small CRT monitor sat on a milk crate, wired to a half-functioning VCR. The screen flickered with static before Erica even turned it on. "This is where I kept what I could," she said. "Before they came." Lucas frowned. "They?" Erica ignored the question and pulled out a notebook from her bag. Inside were pages filled with hand-drawn floor plans, strings of dialogue, frame-by-frame breakdowns of scenes, and dates, lots of dates. Many circled. All clustered around the same year, 1997. "That's when Armand started changing," she said. "At first, he was just obsessed with obscure cinema. But then he started acquiring films no one had heard of. Not even in underground circuits. Films that reacted." Lucas stared. "Reacted?" Erica nodded. "To the viewer. The room. The moment you pressed play. They were alive, in a way." She moved to the back of the room and pulled out a dusty tape. No markings. Only a strip of faded red tape across the edge. She placed it gently into the player. "This was the first time I saw her. The hallway woman." Lucas sat down. The screen came to life. Same hallway. But this time, there were footsteps. Soft, echoing, coming closer. "She walks toward the camera in this one," Erica whispered. "And says something different every time." Lucas leaned forward, his breath caught. The woman appeared, closer now, and her lips began to move. But before a sound could form, the tape glitched, static tearing across the screen. And then, a new face appeared. It wasn't the woman. It was Mr. Armand. Eyes wide. Breathing fast. As if recording in a panic. "They're trying to trap her. But she's already inside the film. If you're seeing this, stop. She sees you too." The screen cut to black. Lucas barely registered the chill that slithered down his spine as the screen went dark. Mr. Armand's eyes haunted him, frantic, desperate, aware of something beyond the frame. He looked at Erica, whose face was pale and rigid. "There's more," she whispered. "Armand left clues." She rifled through her bag and produced a thin envelope, its seal torn. Inside were Polaroids, stills from different tapes, each a fragment of a larger labyrinth. One showed a spiral staircase stained with shadow, another, a row of antique projectors in a pitch-black room. The last showed a door ajar, light seeping out, and a silhouette standing at the threshold. "They're all locations inside Valentina," Erica said. "Places where he recorded the final edits." Lucas traced a finger over the photos. "Are these real rooms?" "Some are hidden in the old building's basement," she replied. Armand converted parts of the store into a private screening labyrinth. Only he knew the layout. He thought of the rusted door they'd entered. Could that corridor lead deeper, to those rooms? He stood, heart thudding, and gestured at the walls of tapes. "Then we need to map this place. Every tape, every still. See how they connect." Erica nodded and unzipped another pocket, pulling out a flash drive. I digitized titles, timestamps, even audio snippets where possible. The glitch patterns correspond to specific coordinates on the original floor plan. Lucas plugged it into his laptop, the screen flickering as he loaded an aged blueprint of Valentina Video Archive. Ghostly outlines of rooms and corridors spread before them, overlaid with dozens of red dots. Each dot pulsed softly, as if alive. A sudden crack, the door behind them had latched shut. The single bare bulb overhead flickered. Lucas spun around. "Erica?" His voice echoed in the cramped space. No answer. He swallowed hard and faced the screen again. The red dots blinked in sequence, forming a path that led to a small chamber marked simply as "Final Cut." Erica's note hovered on the file, "Proceed only if you dare find her." Lucas pressed his palm against the cool metal of the door marked "Final Cut" and hesitated. The corridor beyond was narrow and dimly lit, the concrete walls slick with condensation. A single bare bulb swung overhead, casting long shadows that stretched like crawling fingers. He glanced at the blueprint on his laptop. Erica's red dots guided them along a twisted path beneath Sao Paulo's streets, weaving through forgotten storage rooms and maintenance tunnels. He stepped forward. Each footstep echoed, swallowed by the silence. The VCR monitor in the last room still hummed behind him, as if reluctant to release its secrets. His heart thundered, every instinct screamed to turn back. But Erica's words echoed in his mind, "Proceed only if you dare find her." Lucas followed the corridor to a steel grate, rusted and ajar. He tugged it open and descended a narrow flight of stairs. At the bottom, the air was colder, tinged with the faint odor of decay. A flicker of movement caught his eye, rows of empty shelving, once laden with tapes, now stripped bare. Some shelves were gouged, as though someone had clawed at them in desperation. He found his footing and continued down a sloping tunnel. Ahead, the floor opened into a larger chamber bathed in an unnatural crimson glow. Projectors lined the walls on rolling carts, their lenses pointed inward toward a circular screen suspended in midair. Each machine was labeled with a single word, "Begin, END, Trust, Fear." Lucas felt the hairs on his neck rise. This was no ordinary screening room. It was a mechanism, an altar to whatever power animated these tapes. He approached the projector marked, "Begin." The reel inside was spinning slowly, as if powered by an unseen hand. On the screen flickered the same hallway. But this time, the woman stood motionless at its center, her eyes reflecting the red light. He reached for the VCR controls. His fingers trembled as he hit play. The film stuttered, and a dozen other projectors woke with mechanical clicks, their reels turning in unison. The room filled with overlapping voices, whispers, pleas, laughter, coming from all directions. Lucas's breath caught as the woman on screen spoke again. "You opened the door. Now follow me." Lucas felt the crimson glow pulse around them, as if the room itself were breathing. He and Erica stood amid the projectors, their beams converging on the circular screen. The overlapping whispers faded to a low hum that reverberated in his chest. The reels synchronized, Erica whispered. Lucas stepped closer, heart pounding. The floor trembled. On screen, the hallway walls warped like heat haze, stretching and snapping back. The woman's form appeared, half materialized, her lips parting in a silent scream before looping in broken echoes. A sudden click from the fear projector. A tape unraveled to the floor with a metallic rattle. Lucas crouched and scooped it up. On the spool's translucent film, frames flickered, his reflection, Erica's terrified face, and a dark shape closing in. "How is this possible?" he muttered. Erica's hand trembled on the trust projector's crank. She withdrew a pristine tape. "This contains the choice," she said. "It's our only map." Hands shaking, Lucas loaded it. The red glow dimmed to a gray dusk. The screen flickered, a mirrored room stretching into infinity. Soft footsteps echoed behind them, yet no one moved. The woman's voice, distant and intimate, choose, follow me, or remain lost in the real. Erica gripped his arm. We stay together. Lucas exhaled. On screen, endless versions of them walked separate paths. He realized the labyrinth had ingested their memories. One wrong turn would trap them in the phantom archive forever. Lucas hesitated at the threshold. The mirrored corridor beyond undulated under crimson light, like the inside of a bellowing beast. Erica's grip was firm, but her eyes reflected the same fear he felt. The tape in his pocket felt impossibly heavy. The screen's voice repeated insistently, "Follow me." No longer a whisper, it commanded. They stepped forward together. Each footfall echoed, and the corridor stretched, as if warping to hold them inside. Behind them, a projector's glow dimmed, extinguishing light in spatial patches that beckoned like silent mouths. Every surface around them flickered with memories not their own. Lucas saw his mother's farewell on film grain, Erica glimpsed a childhood hallway she never entered. The labyrinth gnawed at their minds, folding past and present into a single reel of terror. Lucas clenched the tape, a lifeline and a trap. How far does this go? Erica whispered. He swallowed. Wherever she leads. They reached a bifurcation, 2 doors, one marked release, the other return. The air smelled of burning celluloid. The voice sharpened, choose. Erica's hand trembled. Lucas traced the flashing letters on the door frames. Neither promised safety, one felt like surrender, the other like oblivion. His chest tightened. With trembling resolve, he placed his hand on one panel. Together, he said. Erica nodded. A pulse of static crackled as they crossed the threshold, and the door slammed shut behind them with bone-shaking force. Lucas forced himself to breathe as the door slammed shut behind them. The panel had glowed with the word release, and now they stood in a corridor lined with peeling celluloid strips that fluttered like captive wings. Each frame, caught between paint-peeling walls, captured moments of other seekers, faces twisted in awe or agony. Erica pressed her palm to the wall, following a reel that traced its way toward a distant glow. The air smelled of burnt film and wet earth. With each step, whispers drifted from the strips, faint fragments of the woman's voice urging them onward, overlapping in chorus. Lucas's legs ached, but he refused to stop. He clutched the tape in his pocket as if it were a talisman. The corridor opened into a vaulted chamber hung with suspended screens. Flickering images danced across them, Lucas and Erica, their reflections warped, the hallway woman, reaching out, Mr. Armand, pacing in panic. The screens hummed with static, and the floor beneath trembled again. Erica's whisper was urgent. These are our memories, our fears, projected back at us. We have to walk through them. As they moved between the screens, each image shifted in real time, a childhood memory gone wrong, a confession unspoken, a joy turned to dread. Lucas felt a tear blur his vision when he saw himself as a child, crying in an empty theater. Suddenly, the screens all cut to black. A single spotlight illuminated a lone projector at the room's center, its reel spinning silently. On its side was etched one final word, Ember. Before Lucas could ask what it meant, the projector clicked to life, and the room ignited in a blaze of light. The tiled floor trembled beneath Lucas's boots as the pedestal sank into the ground, sealing the projector beneath a shifting slab. Erica stumbled back, reel slipping from her fingers. The reverberating hum died, replaced by an oppressive silence. Behind them, the illuminated frames snapped off one by one, plunging the hall into semi-darkness. Lucas knelt, retrieving the reel. Its translucent surface flickered with latent images, now static, frozen mid-frame. He held it to the nearest frame's backlight, the woman's prone figure winked into focus, but beneath her lay faint etchings, a door handle and a spiral arrow. Look, he whispered, tracing the symbol. Erica crouched beside him. That's not in the blueprint. Her breath crystallized in the cold air. A secret exit, she breathed. They searched the walls, palms sliding over glossy tile until they found a seam behind an empty frame. Lucas pressed the etched spiral, the panel clicked and retracted, revealing a narrow passage lit by flickering sodium lamps. The stale air felt like exhalations from another decade. Erica slid past first, voice echoing, "This must lead back to the beginning." Lucas hesitated, glancing at the dehydrated footprints in the dust. There had been others. He slipped through, reel clutched against his chest. The door slid shut with a hiss. In the tunnel beyond, the hallway from the first tape stretched ahead, its end lost in shadow. The Phantom Archive was pulling them deeper, and there was no turning back. Lucas and Erica emerged into a corridor bathed in sickly yellow light, the very hallway from the first tape, but aged and dust-choked. The peeling paint on the walls revealed layers of past colors, each coat representing an era of Valentina's secrets. Their breaths hung in the stale air, each exhale a small white cloud. "Back where we began," Lucas murmured, voice hollow. Erica ran a fingertip along the scuffed baseboard. "Except this is older. We're outside the archive walls now, aren't we?" He nodded, clutching the reel. The floorboards beneath their feet creaked strangely, as if protesting their return. At the far end, an iron door stood half open, its handle rusted and cold. Beyond it lay a square room lit only by moonlight filtering through a high barred window. They stepped inside. The walls were plastered with faded film posters, some classics, others titles Lucas didn't recognize. In the center, a small wooden table held a projector, its lens dusted but intact. Next to it, a single sheet of paper. "Project the reel. Know the path." Erica's eyes met his. "He wants us to watch this here." Lucas set the reel into the projector and powered it on. The machinery hummed, and a beam of light cut through the darkness, landing on a blank white sheet taped to the far wall. The hallway image appeared, then shifted, revealing a map overlay drawn in fine red lines. It traced their journey so far, then veered off into unexplored tunnels, ending at a symbol, a stylized key. The projector clicked off. Silence pressed in. Lucas folded the map close to his chest. "That's where we go next." Erica exhaled. "Through the iron door." He nodded, steeling himself. To find her, and to finish what Armand started. Together, they crossed to the door and pushed it open wider. Beyond, the unknown waited. The iron door groaned as Lucas and Erica stepped into a narrow corridor carved from raw brick, lit only by the pale moonlight through high slits. The air smelled of rust and old smoke. Lucas held the paper map against his chest, its red lines glowing faintly in the dimness. "According to this, the next marker is 3 turns down," he whispered. Each step echoed, revealing layers of forgotten construction, arches bricked up, tunnels collapsed, and painted over symbols that gleamed when struck by the thin beam of his flashlight. Erica moved ahead, tracing her fingertip along the wall where a faded spiral matched the one on the reel. They passed a skeletal projector mounted on the wall like a sentinel, its lens cracked but still aimed at a blank patch of wall. Beneath it, an inscription etched into the mortar read. Erica frowned. "The Watcher, the projector." Lucas nodded, crouching to examine the floor. There, embedded in the brick, was a narrow slot shaped like an old film reel. The translucent reel they carried seemed to hum in his hand. With a nod, he slid it into the slot. The corridor shuddered. Walls along the passage lit up, revealing rolling footage projected onto peeling plaster, flickering frames of their journey, overlaid with cryptic arrows pointing deeper into the maze. The images coalesced into a single symbol, a stylized key identical to the map's terminus. At the far end, a heavy steel hatch dropped into view, engraved with the same key. Behind it lay Armand's ultimate screening room, the heart of the Phantom Archive. Erica exhaled. "This is it." Lucas braced himself. "Then let's turn the key." He pushed the hatch open, and a rush of cold air, thick with the scent of damp film, poured out. They exchanged a determined glance and stepped through into the unknown. Lucas and Erica stepped through the hatch into a vast, circular chamber. The floor was tiled in charcoal and silver, concentric rings radiating from a central dais. Above them, a domed ceiling was fitted with dozens of projector lenses, each aimed at the dais below. The air smelled of aged film and cold metal. Erica's flashlight beam swept across walls lined with glass cabinets. Inside each, a single tape hovered on an invisible spindle, glowing faintly. Their titles were embossed on the cases in deep crimson: memory, dream, despair, hope. At the center, a raised platform held an ornate projector, its barrel etched with runes Lucas couldn't decipher. Beneath it lay an open book, its pages yellowed but filled with meticulous handwriting, Armand's notes. Erica knelt and traced the first line. To free her, you must unspool the archive of the soul. Choose which reel to sacrifice. Lucas approached the dais. The projector whirred as if sensing his presence. On the platform's edge lay 3 reels, each darker than the last, one smoky gray, one pitch black, one translucent white. Erica's eyes met his, fear and resolve mingling in her gaze. Suddenly, the lenses above ignited. Beams of light converged, illuminating the 3 reels. The woman's silhouette appeared, reflected in each beam, her voice echoing from every direction: sacrifice to redeem. Lucas swallowed. His mind raced, every tape they'd encountered held a piece of the labyrinth, a fragment of Armand's madness. To free her meant to forfeit a part of the archive, and perhaps a part of themselves. Erica whispered, which path do we take? Her hand hovered over the gray reel labeled memory. Lucas reached forward. We can't lose everything. His gaze flicked to the white reel, its purity almost blinding. But some sacrifices are necessary. The room pulsed. The woman's voice grew urgent, decide. Lucas closed his eyes, heart pounding. He knew that once they made their choice, the Phantom Archive, and their fates, would be sealed forever. Lucas's fingers trembled as he lifted the gray reel, memory, from the dais. The chamber stilled, the projector lenses above dimmed in unison. Erica reached for his hand, uncertainty in her eyes. He nodded once, resolute. Together, they placed the reel into the ornate projector. Gears clicked, beams of light fractured across the glass cabinets, and a low hum vibrated in their bones. The reels of dream, despair, and hope faded from view. Suddenly, Lucas felt a hollow ache behind his forehead, echoes of his childhood laughter, the feel of a film's warm projector light in the archive's backroom, slipping away. Each memory surrendered dissolved into the phosphorescent air, leaving shadows in their wake. Erica gasped as fragments of her own past, her first Valentina tape, the comforting weight of its case, wavered and vanished. But as the final celluloid thread unraveled, the chamber glowed with pure white light. The central dais sank, revealing a hidden spiral staircase carved in obsidian. From the top descended the woman from the tapes, whole and breathing, her eyes luminous with gratitude. She extended a pale hand. Lucas and Erica exchanged a single glance, sacrificing memories had unlocked her prison. Hand in hand, they stepped forward, up the staircase toward a new projection, the promise of release. The staircase led to a smaller chamber above the archive, a theater unlike any they had seen. The walls were lined with velvet as dark as ink, the ceiling painted to mimic a starlit sky. At the room's center, a single antique projector faced a blank silver screen that shimmered like water. The woman stood beside it, no longer a spectral echo, but a living presence. Lucas and Erica hesitated at the threshold. She turned to them and spoke, not in whispers this time, but with a calm, human voice. This is the final reel. It must be watched to the end. Erica stepped forward, her voice trembling. What happens after? The woman smiled faintly. Whatever is left of you, is yours to keep. Lucas reached for the projector and found a reel already loaded, its surface burned with the faint mark of the key. He turned the crank. The projector stuttered, then steadied, casting a beam onto the screen. Scenes unfolded. Not of Valentina, nor of the tapes they'd recovered. But of themselves, Lucas as a child, wandering the aisles of a rental store with wide eyes, Erica cataloging tapes late at night, tracing lost names on faded labels. Their lives, as recorded by something else. Something watching. Remembering. The final frames showed them descending into the archive. Then the screen turned black. A faint click. The projector had stopped. The room was silent. Then the woman spoke once more. Now you choose. Stay, and keep the archive alive. Or leave, and forget it ever existed. Lucas looked to Erica. Her eyes filled with something between sorrow and peace. Do we remember, she asked softly, or do we move on? And the reel waited for their answer. The air in the projection room was still. Lucas and Erica stood before the flickering screen, their reflections caught in its pale glow. Behind them, the woman waited, neither urging nor restraining, only watching. Lucas felt the weight of the reel in his chest, the emptiness where his memories had been. He looked to Erica. If we leave, everything fades. She nodded slowly. The tapes, the voices, even her. It'll be like it never happened. Her eyes glistened. But we'll be whole again. Normal. He stared at the blank screen. In its silence, he saw too much, the obsession that brought them here, the strange beauty of the archive, the terror of losing oneself to it. Erica turned to the woman. And if we stay? The woman stepped forward. You'll remember. But so will it. You'll keep it alive. Feed it. Guard it. Forever. Lucas exhaled. Then we become the next curators. The woman didn't deny it. Erica took a deep breath. Then, gently, she reached for Lucas's hand. I'm tired of forgetting, she said. If someone has to remember, let it be us. Lucas looked at her, truly looked. Then he nodded. The projector reignited on its own. Light filled the room, and the walls around them began to pulse like breathing film. The velvet peeled back to reveal endless rows of shelves descending into darkness, new reels spinning into existence, new stories waiting to be found. The woman faded into the projection, becoming one with the light. And Lucas and Erica took their seats, side by side, as the archive around them awakened, alive again, because someone chose to remember. Outside, the world went on. Oblivious. Inside, the last frame lingered. And the archive watched.